Hello, welcome. Today is April 16th. It's about 40 degrees Fahrenheit or about plus 5 degrees Celsius. I thought I would do this video just to kind of give you a tour around, and I find that Carolyn and Josh and Michelle and so many others share videos of their places and so on and so forth. I thought it'd be kind of cool and kind of fun to show you around a bit. It's not a palace, that's for darn sure, but we'll give you a tour anyway. I'm standing on my veranda right now, a 40 by 14 veranda, and this is what I look at from my house every day. As you can see, the snow is starting to go. We had about 4 feet, so it's going. There's lots of water running around. Not so much today, but at least the wind died down. It's been just crazy here. So anyway, veranda that I just love. This is facing south, so the heat was not conducive to decks or patios or things like that. So thought, if I'm going to use the space, this is what it's going to be, and I'm so glad I did. Creates a bit of a different roof line, but I still like it. I like wood, as you can see. The problem with the wood is, this is all cedar shingles. Problem with it is, if you don't keep up on it, the woodpeckers like to come in and dig after the larvae that are in there. Thus the plastic bags, which actually work. I got to repair it all this year and give it a treatment of treatment. So yeah, the pileated and the redheads really do a number on it, as you can see. We'll take you into the house first, just kind of show you around. But this is a Terrace Bergmont, I think it is, shrub rose or bush rose. I got this given to me for a birthday present, actually, probably 20 years ago, and I've got a few of them around the place. It's just an absolutely lovely pink, double pink rose, and the aroma is just, when you walk out the door, is just phenomenal. So anyway, we'll go inside and have a look around. Excuse the mess. Like I tell most people, don't worry about your shoes, because I sure don't. Okay, we're standing in the porch, and as you can see, like I say, I don't take my shoes off too terribly much, and obviously don't wash the floor either. But that's life, not high on the priority. So as you can see, these are eggs waiting to be washed, 3 days worth. I sell eggs in town, so helps supplement things. We got just a few of them. So anyway, then we walk down the hall, and like I say, I haven't been taking my shoes off. Just come in, have coffee, then go back out if I'm going out. That's my dog. Quite like this piece. A friend of mine does woodworking, quite like it, so had to have it. So anyway, and behind this room is Sadie's room. As you can see, she just didn't like the linoleum, so she decided that she should rip it up. And that's the entryways to the cellar. I'm having some issues with my house settling in the middle due to some construction errors that I didn't know about when I bought the place. So I'm having to fix that. So it's caused a whole bunch of other issues. So I fill all my water troughs from the laundry room. So that's the hoses. And my old washer spin dryer. I got tired of automatic washers and spending $1,000 and having them last 8 years. So a friend of mine gifted this. It's kind of a precursor to possibly going to a Ringer washer, believe it or not. Anyway, bathroom, just so you can see. I won't show you the bathroom, but I do have a issue with my new well. I've had with the water period, always iron, but it's really bad in this water. So still working on getting that figured out. Just some artwork that I took, not artwork, but photos that I took of various animals that have graced my place. pelicans, Canada geese, pelicans and Canada geese. That's my favorite one. But anyway. So then we move into dining room, spare room, which I'll just kind of do one of those for. It's kind of gross. So anyway. Okay, now we're standing in the dining room, at the entrance to the dining room actually. And as you can see, this is my place that I talk to all of you. It's a love-hate relationship with this workstation. Gives me a nice view, but at the same time it's difficult. So anyway, in here you see a lot of jars of canning and empty jars and canning and so on and so forth. And that's because I've got everything up here because I don't want to have to haul it out to redo the cellar. So and we move into the kitchen. Washed eggs this morning, so still got to put them away, and stuff like that. Missing a kitchen cupboard. I was cleaning and lost my balance and wiped it out, but that's life. There's no glass in there anyway, so it is what it is. So anyway, got my new Habibator incubator, which I'm thinking I'll do a post on at some point. We'll see. And then all my reading material got here. Picked this up for $300, I think it was, a few years back. Quite like this hutch. And yeah, it seems kind of strange to have china in there, but teacups and stuff, but a lot of them, if not all, were Grandma Elsie's family friend who passed away at 101, I do believe it was. So yeah, strange or not, it's nice. It's staying. So anyway, like I say, more boxes, and yes, you're going to see bands on them. Couple reasons for that. I know it's not the way we're supposed to do it, but it's the way I do it right now. They're just sitting on there, so false seals, I've never had an issue with detecting a false seal, because as I say, they're just sitting on there. So but there's stacks of them. Again, not what you're supposed to do, but sometimes you just have no choice in the matter. Once I get my cellar done, I'll be able to put them all on their individual shelves. We move into the entryway, which is packed full of jars and jars and jars and jars and a wood stove. But I can't use the wood stove because of insurance reasons. I got to replace the chimney, and which means that I got to get rid of all of that, and I'm not thrilled about that. So we'll see what I do. So anyway, my spaghetti squash is sitting there, sitting up here. I just actually threw out one from 2 years ago, fed it to the chickens, but yeah, keeps really well here. But not sure what this one is. It's supposed to be a spaghetti squash, just I guess an albino version maybe. So this is my Easter cactus that's well over 35, 40 years old. It used to hang down to the floor. And then a few years ago it purged itself. Yeah, I won't get into the whole reason why. I think it's very symbolic for me. Especially being around Easter, because it did it right around Easter time, and it cleaned itself off, refreshed itself, bloomed, and as you could see, it blooms. And so Easter is kind of a reminder, and we won't get into that on this post, but I think you can probably guess what I'm referring to. Anyway. And we move into the living room. It's you've seen a couple posts of this. It's a lovely room, nice and bright and airy. But I don't spend a lot of time in here, but I'm using it for my garden starts. We've got some brassicas going down the bottom. Then I got peppers that I just repotted yesterday, along with my rosemary. And some tomatillos, 4 different varieties. Some of them didn't germinate really well. Oh, you were just, as Doug and Stacy would say, you were just cuckooed. But and then we've got a couple lemons there that I had tried starting. They didn't grow, so I recycled the dirt. Excuse me. And yeah, that was my surprise. So some mint, and then we've got canna lilies galore. And these fuchsias are about 5 years old. I cut them back. They do wonderfully. I cut them back, take cuttings, and when they get spindly, they get a haircut. Then we move to the other window, and we've got a bunch of other bedding plants. We've got some basil right there that are cuttings, and I just actually took some for a salad the other night. My elderberry cuttings, tomatoes, and a whole bunch of geraniums, about 4 different colors. Not sure what I'm going to do with them all, but you know how it is. You start taking cuttings, before you know it, you filled up a whole 2 trays. So anyway, then we moved down. Then we moved down to the onions, and so on and so forth. They are doing really well. I've given them one. We have the onions, which I've given one haircut to. They're doing really well. I maybe need to give them another haircut. And then I've got some right here. I think it's called English ivy, German ivy. That I took cuttings from. It's a nice filler on some of the pots. Probably go with some of the geraniums. Then I got my lettuce that I've been growing all winter. This is the 5th crop throughout the winter that I've grown in the house. Been nice. I haven't had to buy all winter. Some parsley that I think that's 3-year-old that I bring in every year. So you'll notice yellow sticky traps all over the place. I brought in some peppers in the fall to try and overwinter and let them finish off, and they didn't make it, but in their death they left me with a present of whiteflies. So I'm trying to deal with those and tried various things, and so we're giving that a try now. Yeah, a bunch of flowers and stuff like that. This orchid's been blooming now for 2 weeks, thereabouts. It's quite surprising actually, but this is the one that's surprising to me the most. 12 years I think I've had this orchid, and I never got it to bloom, and I finally am getting a bloom, so I'm kind of excited about that. But anyway, so that's the living room. Now we move into the spare room, which I've been using as a plant nursery all winter and all spring. As you can see, the tomatoes need a little more light. They're starting to lean towards, but we've got about, I forget how many different varieties started this year. None of which are, I think 4 of them are new to me this year, so we'll see what that does. But celery is doing really, really well. Started that, I do believe it was beginning of February, so. And sticky traps in here too. And some more brassicas on the floor. And yeah, more mess. Haven't dealt with it from when I retired 2 years ago, but it's just not worth it. Love this hutch though. My niece gave it to me and fits perfectly in the hole of the wall, and I just love it. So anyway, so that's the house. We like our plants and stuff, but this is what I have. Not for everybody, that's for darn sure. Some people have even commented that they don't know how they can live like that. Well, it's just all about priorities. So anyway, we'll take you outside, show you around a little bit. My old horse trailer that I'm using for feed and stuff like that. And then my tractor, I picked it up, went and stopped, talked to my neighbor. It had been sitting, paid $500 for it, and $2,000 for repair. And I have a tractor that works really, really well. So I'm quite happy about that. Yeah, my well, got some work to do in landscaping this year and stuff like that. But, and then, yeah, backside is my ostrich ferns. You can't see them too much for the snow, but they'll be giving me some fiddleheads before too long. So the old house, was something I brought in quite a few years ago. It was kind of a quick decision, and was going to make it into a garage and then into various projects, and it's now a chicken house. You can see on the north side, or the left-hand side, my left, there's some piles down there of chicken manure that's got to be composted, so we'll get that done too. It's extremely icy, so we're going to walk through here. We've got all sorts of stuff around. It's the feed yard, oats, chicken feed, and so on and so forth. And anything that I can acquire that I can use to upcycle, recycle, whatever you want to call it. As you can see, the yard is sloppy, but this all used to be full of bales, but it's now April. I still got a few left, so I'm happy about that. But we'll see what happens. I got to move all of these before too long. Once they thaw, so I don't bust them apart when I go to lift them off the ground. So anyway, so yeah, so this is my driveway coming into the yard. It's quite a, quite a lengthy driveway, but I get to come in and see this view when I come in every single time. Can't beat that. As you can see, like, my veranda makes like a hockey stick veranda, but I quite like it, and that's what matters, right? Yeah, so my garden down here, this is facing south right now, so give you some sort of directional placement, I guess you could say. So I've got a couple plum trees that I planted up here with some mullein growing underneath them. Not sure this one's going to make it, but that's life. And yeah, the tarps were a godsend, but they're also my nemesis too. But they kept this is oats under here, so oats and wood for my chicken house. So moved the doghouse down here last year. Didn't get it finished before freeze up, so we're going to work on that this summer. And then in this corner we're going to put a bunch of herbs and flowers and stuff, because I want to regain my yard from the flooding. Recycled siding that didn't get painted. My brother once told me that when you go to my place, there's always a project on the go, and I'm starting to think he's right. But it's reality. I should really just finish one before I start a new one, but that's not what I do. So we got built a greenhouse off the edge of it. Then a plow wind took the roof off, and yeah, we just haven't got it fixed yet. But I plan on doing it. Would really like to see it being used in the springtime. And then I'm going to do some passive solar I in there. And I'm thinking building up to the bottom of the windows inside that I can fill with dirt, and then plant some crops inside that'll maybe extend my season a little bit, because I'm done pretty much the beginning of September. Some years I can go a little later, but as you can hear, I got turkeys. Yeah, they're a few years old, but anyway. This is my garden. Right where the raised beds are, we've got garlic planted in there for this year. Plus I've got some herbs. What do I got in there? Oregano, thyme, lemon balm, spearmint. And then there's some Juneberry and ever-bearing strawberries as well. I plant my rotational stuff in here, lettuce and purple top turnips and so on and so forth. But the main reason for this is trees are encroaching. We have trembling aspen, Populus tremuloides, and balsam poplar, Populus balsamifera, that love to extend the roots all the way out into the garden. So I have to stay above that if I want to use it. Raspberries are slowly establishing. Last year I tried this trellis garden, or this trellis for the tomatoes that I seen on another channel, and I'll tell you, I just absolutely loved it. The tomatoes didn't form a giant mat, and picking them was just sensational. My biggest problem was I put the panels too close together. As you can also see, I do direct composting. It's funny, some springs the seagulls think they've moved the dump, but it is what it is. The nice thing about the direct composting is like in the summertime I'll just dig a trench and get rid of it. It's for some, not for others. I just haven't got a compost area set up yet to deal with all my nitrogen that comes into the yard. We got a flowering almond. It doesn't produce much. I should probably look into if there's any additional uses for it besides just the beauty it brings. And then along here we got some cherry trees. As you can see, could have had those a little farther apart, but they're going to be trellised with peas this year, and I'll put some new ones in of this trellising system for tomatoes in the part of the garden they're going in. I've got a couple grapes planted in here that I plan on doing an arbor type thing to walk into the garden. So yeah, she's due in about a month. There's 3 babies supposed to be making an appearance this year, but out here I've had this electric fence up now it's actually electric rope, for about, well, since I moved them onto the front lawn, so probably 10 years when the flooding started. So yeah, replace it every couple years because it degrades, but it does well. It does really well. So my home raised beds, a water tank that landed on its head when it was 40 below and spider cracked, so it works well. It's going to see some melons and watermelons this year, and maybe some peanuts too. So anyway, as you can see, like, the water is not the greatest. It's not horrible, but yeah, it's got some issues. So we'll just hop over this fence and take a walk through. Out here, if you can see where that one mare is standing on the left to the bale, there's a fence in back. That's the new location of the fence. It's got to be moved, not moved, but rebuilt with a rail fence, because something with some weight to hold it up, because the high moisture content of this land down in that area is not conducive to keeping a fence straight. So before we head out there, we should take you for a walk down here. So we'll just hop over this fence again. Hopefully don't electrocute myself. But I'm going to try something this year too with my broilers. I'm going to try the pasture grazing them on here. I'm not sure how it's going to work. We're going to give it a try. I won't have to worry about mowing lawn. So anyway, down here we built our chicken house. Poor planning on my part. When I bought the place, it was a dry year and never really thought, but the moisture has caused major problems. There was water right up to here. The old sheep pens that I haven't dismantled yet, yeah, the water was right up to the top there. So it hasn't been great, but we're going to deal with it. It's just add it to the project list and prioritize. But built this chicken house out of actually poplar 2x4s, believe it or not. Worked great. Got them for a song, and yeah, only thing is they turn like a banana. Don't ever set them on the ground. So anyway, so this is, I'm going to build this onto this. I need more room for the birds out to that post there. So basically it'll give me a better management style with my birds. But yeah, the turkeys are huge. They're going into the third summer. I can tell you that when putting this reused tin on here definitely made a difference. The birds actually use this way more now. This year I want to plant elderberries. The version I have, which is the red elderberry, down here to provide some shade. But the turkeys are, like I say, going into the third summer. You got to remember, guys, that I've been frozen for the last 9 months. So, yeah, the manure that's in there, not much I can do now because I'm not going in there with the pick. So, yeah, we'll deal with it once it starts thawing out and go from there. But I can't really complain about too much here. Yeah, it's been a lot of challenges. There was nothing here other than the house when I bought it. And in fact, the yard site was not in existence. So I had to clear it all out. So would I do it again? I don't know. It's a walk and talk moment, I guess. But I like where I live. But again, like, I have no barn. There was no fences here. There was the house that had been abandoned for 2 years. I picked it up for a song, sure. But, and this shed was here, I guess. But, yeah, there's a freezer in there too, because I don't have a basement. So, yeah. But, no, I've often thought that, and I actually thought about selling it one time to buy something with a barn and stuff, but we'll get there. I've been here a long time, and it definitely doesn't happen overnight. And you run into stumbling blocks, but at the end of the day, the heart is happy. Does any of that other stuff matter, I guess? But this year I did decide, though, that because of the weather that we had, it would have been nice to have a barn. So I'm planning on, in the far distance there, you can see where there's a couple horse standing up on top of the hill. That's all just a mound of manure that I have to get cleaned out because there's a barn going in there. So, and this mound will get piled up this summer, but you got to remember we had 4 feet of snow. So mixed in with all this manure and stuff is layers and layers of snow. So once this starts to melt, warm up, it'll be surprising how much it drops. Yeah, she's kind of big, eh? But anyway, whole lot of cleanup now that it's dried up, so I can straighten fences, clean pens, all that kind of stuff, make it look nice, because I really do want my yard back. Now that I'm getting some stuff set up elsewhere. So, but I'm planning along this fence line here. I was debating where to plant my elderberries, and I think I'm going to do it along here. Just do a permaculture type strip, if you will, cardboard, sawdust, or wood shavings, I should say, and plant them along there. I think it'll make a nice windbreak, and yeah, space isn't being used, and I don't want to mow it. So anyway, like I say, the joys of moisture when you have excess. So it's not always roses. So anyway, so we move across the yard. We're in the southwest of the house now, and you've seen extension cords hanging out everywhere. Well, that's how we keep our water liquid. Costs you $20 per heater per month rather, but oh well. My fruit trees, I established them planted them last year. I originally was going, we've got, what all have we got in here? Apples, pears, crab apples, I've got some Nanking cherries over here, gooseberries, rhubarb, asparagus, which I'm widening the patch. And originally, as you can see by the leftovers of the brown-eyed Susans on here, I was going to plant right directly around the trees, but after watching a lecture and trying to think how far out I should plant because of drip line and stuff, I've decided against that totally, because this whole area is going to become covered in hardwood mulch. So what I'm going to do is in each of these squares, I'm going to plant my herbs in the middle here and stuff, herbs, flowers, bee attractors and all that good stuff, and then plant some squash and stuff in between, like kind of right where that snow ends, on each of the 4 quadrants. Somehow I tried to be naturalistic about it, but somehow or the other it ended up being very symmetrical. Yeah, so anyway, so we're going to add some different shapes in here, but then I'm going to expand my asparagus patch. Expand my asparagus patch, make it double wide, because I just don't get enough in a year. So anyway, so we got, like I say, there's a lot of snow underneath a lot of it. This, however, is just been your years and years and years and years of dealing with things. Fire that went through, took out fences and whatnot. So anyway, it is what it is, and we deal with it. My Saskatoon patch, I got tired of going looking for them, so I brought them to me. That's one of my studs over there, and he's a good boy. And then the white guy in the back is another one, and the other guys are a little bit younger. So yeah, whatever, Reggie. But anyway, this is Smarty. He's a nice guy, but he's got a little bit of manure in his pen that I got to deal with too. But as you can see, I've got electric rope everywhere. He respects it really well, so it's not a problem. But we're going to change all this here. It's time. And then hay that you can't use. This is the hay that I couldn't use because of the mold or whatnot. You know, it makes you wonder. You just pay a good $1 on a bale of feed and can't use it. So anyway, we'll rake this up as it starts to thaw and the layers come off and stuff like that, because yeah, they can still eat that. So as you can see, I'm on a pump out, so septic tanks down over by the garden there. So anyway, guys, I don't know if you enjoyed this or not. It just felt like something I needed to do. I'm not big on showing my place because it's kind of embarrassing in some ways, but it is what it is, and I live where I live, and I enjoy what I've got. And spring is on the way, and things are starting to look a little better, even though right now they really don't. But even the horses are content right now. So as I say, I hope you enjoyed the tour, and the good, the bad, the ugly. Anyway, guys, have a great day. Hope your day is blessed, and we will talk to you again sometime. Bye for now.